Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Talk. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Talk.
Yes. Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Truth Talks. I'm your host, Crazy Bone.
What's happening? I'm the co-host, Keith G.
And you already know we got another good one right here for you right now.
So yeah.
Shall we get right into it?
Let's jump right on in, partner.
Okay, now our last episode, we spoke about the power of God.
Right.
In this one, we're going to focus on his wisdom now. You know, first of all, God's wisdom surpasses any wisdom that earthly man think they may have.
Laps around it.
No comparison. Just like his power, there's no comparison. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the same as his wisdom. So God has always existed eons before he decided to create us.
Yep.
So he obtains much more knowledge and understanding of things than we ever will.
Yeah.
That's why he's the perfect guide. And that's why we should shut up and follow.
Just shut up and follow what he's talking about.
Shut up and listen.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
real talk, bro.
For real. So I want to go through and look at some other examples of God's wisdom in the Bible like we did with his power.
Right.
Starting with the first book of Genesis. When Adam and Eve first rebelled against God and took from the tree of life fruit they wasn't supposed to touch.
Yeah, knowledge and evil, yeah.
Now, when the devil spoke through the serpent and deceived Eve and tricked her into indulging in the fruit, he made several allegations against God. And the devil was really sneaky and conniving in the way he approached Eve. You know what I'm saying? He approached her with a question. You know what I'm saying? In Genesis chapter 3:1, it says, even talks about how conniving
man.
there was. It says, now the serpent was the most cautious of all the wild animals in the field that Jehovah God had made. So it said to the woman, did God really say you must not eat from every tree of the garden?
Mm-hmm.
At this, the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but God has said about the fruit of the tree that is in the middle of the garden, you must not eat from it. No, you must not touch it, otherwise you will die.
Yep.
Now, listen carefully to what the devil says next, because he's about to utter the very first lie that was ever told.
Mm-hmm.
This is why he's labeled the father of the lie. In fact, that's what his name means: liar, slanderer, resistor.
Yep.
This is what the devil says in verse 4. It says, at this the serpent said to the woman, you certainly will not die. The first lie ever told.
Surely you ain't going to die.
For God knows that in the very day you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and bad.
Yo.
Now, we all know what happened to Adam and Eve. We don't see them walking around here no more, do we?
Man.
Well, God, that's because they died. You know what I'm saying? And they ended up falling for the devil's tricks, rebelling against God, and ultimately losing their opportunity for everlasting life, and they died. Exactly what God told them was going to happen to them if they touched that tree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now I've heard a lot of people say, well, why do we all have to suffer because of what they did? Why he just couldn't destroy the devil and Adam and Eve and it would have all been over with? But we got to think about this. If God had done it that way, would the issue really have been settled?
No, he got to do his thing righteously. That's why it didn't happen that way. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. But after all, the devil was calling into question, though. The devil was calling into question God's sovereignty, his rightful right to rule over all things, including man.
Yep.
So think about it. Satan made these accusations in front of all these other angels. He said this in front of all these other angels. So God could have immediately destroyed the devil along with Adam and Eve, and the other angels could have began to wonder, like, well, why did you kill him so fast? Like, was the devil actually telling the truth about this? Like, can humans really make their own decisions? You know what I'm saying? Like, without God, like, would they really know right from wrong?
And since I'm God, I'm gonna let this play out. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Bro.
don't wear no watch. You know what I'm talking
And
about?
that's exactly what he did. And this is where God's amazing wisdom comes into play, because instead of immediately removing them, like he had the power to do so.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He decided, he said, you know what? I'm going to give these idiots a chance to prove that man is better off without my rulership.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you play for
That
a
man
minute.
is capable to govern themselves without my guidance. And that's exactly what he's been doing all this time. He's been letting man experiment with all kinds of different governments. They've tried everything from democracy to
Everything.
dictatorship to
Monarchy rule.
totalitarianism, monarchy, authoritarianism,
Big homies.
aristocracy,
Everything.
communism to republic.
Yeah.
None of them has worked.
Nah, G.
None. In fact, it even made things more worse.
Yeah, bro.
It made it worse. Now, one of them has brought peace to mankind, and all the time, he's been giving them to prove their point. So it's confidently to say, we can confidently say that God is absolutely right and wise and very wise in the way he handled the situation.
Man, straight wisdom. He is wisdom. You know, matter of fact, he told us he said in all of our getting, he said, get wisdom. You know what I'm saying? He described her as a female, you know what I'm saying? Let her ways be about you. All that kind of stuff is in Proverbs and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's like that because wisdom is what you need to do this. You can't just run things the way that we think that we're going to run it.
Yeah.
It's stuff that I think that I would have done a while ago, and that you get more older and mature, you like, yo, I recognize in that situation I wasn't right at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you got to have wisdom to get that. And since God is wisdom, he is love. He's all the things you say. He's long-suffering. He's all those attributes. And we be here the rest of our life talking about his attributes. But the ones that we're talking about now.
Exactly.
And these is dope to point out because you need to point this out and let people know how dope our God is that we got, man. How down for us he is.
Because there's so many deep details that people, like people don't even scratch the surface of getting to know who he is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just love the fact that instead of him acting hastily right away, he showed again self-restraint and wisdom on his part, because he could have wiped the slate clean. I'm getting rid of y'all. I'm gonna start fresh with some other kind of creature.
And he'd have been the only one that remembered it.
You know what I'm saying? But he's basically allowing the devil to prove himself a liar over and over again. And what have we seen from the rulership of man? Nothing but wars, disasters, poverty, injustice. They have not been good rulers without God's guidance.
Man, never.
At all.
Never.
At all.
You talking about 7-year-old children running a household then. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have cake for dinner. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing going to get paid. You know what I mean? They just run amok. And that's where the enemy like us to be at, because just like how he told Job, once back going into that again, he just want us to be able to curse God. He wants his own creation to be able to be like, I don't like you, I don't love you. You know what I'm saying? It would hurt the same way if your child would say, I don't groove with you, I don't love you, pops. You know what I'm saying? This and that kind of thing. That hurts you know what I'm saying, a father, but you're never going to lose your love for your children. You know what I'm saying? He's showing us this. He's showing us this right now because he got enough stuff on all of us to have destroyed us 17 times over. You know what I mean?
I don't even want to talk
But for him to be, I mean, me personally, you know what I mean? Yeah. But to show this love and this wisdom, to show the love, like, you know what? Just like what Christ said when he was being crucified. You know, they don't know what they're doing. And I thought about that. Is them just words he's saying? But he's like, yo, Father, forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. If they did, they wouldn't be doing this. True. Let them learn about who we are. True. You know what I'm saying? Let them learn these ways. I thank him for some of that wisdom to let men figure it out, even though he's not waiting to see the outcome. Because like we said, he know how to do everything. So he's already seen this outcome. You know what I mean? But he's letting us go through it because he's like, yo, I want you to know that this is the way that this had to go. You know what I mean? For every decision that you're making.
That's true, bro. It was an illustration somebody broke down an illustration to me like a while ago, in comparison to how God handles stuff.
Right.
It was an illustration of a teacher that presented a difficult math problem to solve to his students. But in the class, he has a know-it-all student who's trying to convince the rest of his classmates that he has a better way and a quicker way of solving this difficult math problem.
Okay.
And he keeps interrupting the teacher while he's making these accusations. And instead of the teacher losing his cool and sending him to the office, instead of kicking him out the classroom, he invites the student to go to the board to work the problem out in his way, because the teacher knows it's only one way to work this problem.
Right.
So he's going to let the student come up there and make a fool of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And after he's made a fool of himself, he's going to kick him out the class.
Exactly. That's good.
But if he would have just kicked him out the class, when the rest of the kids would have been like, well, maybe it is a better, faster way to do this problem. Why you didn't let him?
Little Teddy could have been right, teacher. You know what I'm saying?
It's the same way. It's exactly the same thing that God is doing right now.
Yeah.
With the devil. He's been giving him thousands of years to prove that man is better off without him. And he has failed miserably, because look at us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for real.
Man,
look at us.
Dog, it's 2,000 years later and we still talking about Jesus. You know what I'm saying? I think that ain't going nowhere. We can't look. It says in the Bible too, we can't do no thing apart from Christ. That's what it say. No thing at all. And I've tried to do stupid things. Everything I've done stupid didn't work. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that I know don't work. I'm a life experience of it. It doesn't work. All my ideas that I have without him is terrible ideas. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I would want to get into without his thought, it is a terrible idea. On the reals, bro.
That's true. And this is just one example of God's wisdom. Think about how God immediately made arrangements for things to be set back in place as he intended right after Adam and Eve rebelled and messed everything up. And those arrangements was for his perfect son, Jesus, to shed his blood.
Oh, yeah.
So that we would have a chance to repent and be saved and all this, because Adam and Eve was created as perfect human beings. So God needed another perfect being to come to stand in the place of Adam, to restore what he had lost.
Yep.
And that was the opportunity of everlasting life. And the perfect being was Jesus Christ himself. You know what I'm saying? So, and
it says, not even cut you, it says that plan was made before the foundations of the world.
Exactly.
That's the cold part right there.
Exactly.
I'm finna know that I'm finna step in some dookie, but I got another pair of fresh white kicks in the car. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
God, he sure know what he do. Hey, man, I thank you for that. I'm not even playing, man. Thank you for how cold you are.
Yeah. But the wisdom is so powerful. The wisdom is powerful. You know what I'm saying? It's so much that the Apostle Paul, he was inspired to write in the book of Romans. Mm-hmm. He said, "Oh, the depths of God's riches and wisdom and knowledge. How unsearchable his judgments are, and beyond tracing out his ways are."
Yeah, man.
Like we said, before, we can do nothing but scratch the surface of God's wisdom, and we have to keep in mind, like we was talking about earlier, that wisdom is not the same as knowledge.
Oh no.
We know that computers can store an excessive amount of knowledge, but I've never heard anyone call a computer wise.
Yep, real talk.
You know what I'm saying? Because humans upload the knowledge that's in computers. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's deep.
Even the birds that they say they could talk, them parrot things, you know what I mean? They just holding knowledge. They don't know when to apply that. You know what I mean? Wisdom tells knowledge what to do, and that's why I'm glad that, even if we ask for it, he said he'll give it to us. You know what I mean? And that's something that he's given men throughout time, too, that ask for it or conscious that that's even something to want. Because, most of the time people want, just riches or power. they want to skip wisdom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just going off the, cause I see why they want it, because they got to do what they doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though they different though, they related.
Yeah, they are.
They're related. I want to
Yeah.
read like a little example of this. It says, for instance, if you needed wise counsel on treating a serious health problem, would you consult someone with little or no knowledge of medicine? Hardly. So accurate knowledge is essential to true wisdom. The truth talks.
Oh yeah, gotta have
God has an endless store of knowledge. Him being the king of eternity means he has been alive forever. And during all that time, he has existed. He has been aware of everything. Not one thing has escaped his notice. None of us can hide anything from him, nor be hidden from his sights.
Nah,
None of us.
by wisdom. You
It's
know what
deep.
I mean?
It's
Wisdom
deep.
said, I was there in the beginning when he did this and did that. You know what I'm saying? It's somewhere in Proverbs, one of them two Psalms or Proverbs, where wisdom speaking like that, like he's a person. Like, man, I was eyewitness on the scene when I seen him do what he doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's just how he do. You know, just when I tell the waves to not go past this boundary. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You stay right here. And it's going to be sand over there. Let me see. Y'all going to be over here flying. Some of these creatures going to fly and swim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This one going to do that. And they all do it because by wisdom, he was able to do all of these things right here.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I'm
exactly,
saying?
bro.
That's why they say get it, because it's supposed to be a sister to us. It said wisdom's supposed to be like our kinswoman, you know what I'm saying, or like our sister. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know how many times we've been hanging out with her with the decisions that we've been making. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. That's true. You know what I'm saying? And I like what you said about, like, you know, how his power is so strong that, you know, even the waves on the ocean obey his voice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, they roll up, but they always roll back down.
No, that's what Peter and
You
the
know what
cats
I'm
was talking about when Jesus was on the boat, and he was like he down there asleep. You know what I'm saying? He go upstairs and say, peace be still. They like, man, what kind of dude is this to talk to the wind and just listen to him, man? You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. Yes, I want to read a few more paragraphs because, you know, because it really breaks down, and you all should really listen to this and like listen. Don't just listen, like hear it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it says, as the creator, God has full understanding of what he has made, and he has observed all human activity from the start. He examines each human heart, missing nothing. Having created us as free moral agents, he is pleased when he sees that we are making wise choices in life. As the hearer of prayer, he listens to countless expressions at once. And needless to say, God has a perfect memory. Jehovah God has more than knowledge. He also sees how facts interrelate and discern the overall picture that is created by myriad details. He evaluates and judges, distinguishing between good and bad, important and trivial. Moreover, he looks beyond the surface and peers right into the heart. Thus, Jehovah has understanding and discernment, qualities that are superior to knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But wisdom is of a still higher order. Wisdom brings knowledge, discernment, and understanding together and puts them to work. In fact, some of the original Bible words translated wisdom literally mean effectual working or practical wisdom. So God's wisdom is not merely theoretical. It is practical, and it works.
Oh yeah.
Drawing upon his breadth of knowledge and his depth of understanding, God always makes the best decision possible, carrying them out by means of the best course of action conceivable. That is true wisdom. Jehovah God demonstrates the truth of Jesus' statement, wisdom is proved righteous by its works. God's works throughout the universe give powerful testimony to his wisdom. Another way to look at God's wisdom is to just study the way that we are made. Have you ever just sat back in awe of the way our bodies were made?
Fearfully, wonderfully made, yo.
The way that we were created had to be by divine wisdom. because we do not even understand how our bodies fully function.
Nah.
Doctors and scientists don't really understand everything about the human body, how the human body operates. And that's true. So,
Real talk, bro. And all that mean, everything he just said mean daddy could do anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It ain't nothing to his limits, no limitation. And he the only one that can do anything that is down to do something for you. Some people is able but not willing. You know what I'm saying? He's willing and able and like really happy to do things for those that walk up right around him. That's all he really wants us to do.
True.
It really wasn't as hard as the earth made it to look, but we know. Yeah.
Right. So we know that we were created. We know that we were brought about by divine creation, not a Big Bang theory.
No, sir.
A theory that I call deliberate ignorance.
Yeah. I like that, deliberate ignorance.
Deliberate ignorance is what that theory is to me, because all these evolutionists have produced no solid proof. They just want you to, they just want to explain a little bit of it and be like, yeah, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Not when God telling me something way more complete than that.
Yeah, talking about monkeys and
feel
stuff.
me?
You know what I mean? Monkeys and all that, man. Wouldn't it come from a monkey?
Right. Yeah, don't be misled. Don't believe these idiots.
Anything but to give God credit.
If you want to become wise, take in the knowledge of God.
Oh, yeah.
And the secular education they're offering to convince you that you'll be more successful in this life, it's not worth it at all. Man's wisdom and knowledge is trash.
Oh, yeah, man. I heard an old man one time say, he said he done forgotten more stuff than that youngster was ever going to learn. You know what I mean? That's just how God do.
Their knowledge only tells you how to be successful in this wicked world.
Yeah.
But the knowledge of God tells you how to endure, escape, and conquer this wicked world.
Yeah.
And make it to the new one.
Yeah, real talk.
You know what I'm saying? So you got
even with what you're saying too, even when you learn the word of God, it lets you be able to navigate even this world system. You know what I'm saying? To be able to go ahead and still get you something that takes care of you, your family, or whatever it is like that. Once you learn that, dog, looking at His word and reading other stuff, it's a comic book to me. You know what I mean?
True.
I'm not a scholar or nothing like that, like some big studying dude, but I'm saying reading what his stuff say,
real.
Man, that other stuff is simple, man. That stuff ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? All them Confucius dudes and, you know what I'm saying, what's that word, that book everybody reads? About some cunt Jim, all those dudes. You know what I'm saying? All of that, absolute power or whatever that is. All that stuff is nothing because they all stole from what I read in the Bible. I read some things that's in those things. I'm like, yo, man, y'all all stole this. Your peace ways, your this ways, your how to attack an enemy and all that stuff. That stuff is way, I don't need to read that to have that. You know what I'm saying? One book complete gives me how to be able to talk with folks too. You know what I'm saying? How to show love to folks too. Not just get what I learned and want to force it down somebody's throat. By His Holy Spirit, we able to teach folks, you know what I'm saying, what He really wants them to hear. So all them other dudes making up something, all them, what do you call them, geniuses and all that, man, ain't none of that, man.
Ain't none of that.
God lets you know. He just let you in on a little wisdom or whatever it is you got. Don't take it too far, because ain't nobody no genius.
Yeah, so we're gonna leave y'all with this question: whose knowledge you gonna choose? Whose knowledge will you choose? Man's knowledge that leads to nowhere? Absolutely
Destruction.
Nowhere. All that years of going to college, in the end, that's not going to save you. It's actually taking time away from you serving God. It's actually what it's doing. You know what I'm saying? Or God's wisdom that leads to everlasting life. Now remember, God has given you the freedom of choice to choose for yourself what path you're going to take.
All day.
I just hope and pray that we all make the right choice and choose life. Once again, we thank y'all for lending us y'all ear and giving us y'all attention. We know it's a million other podcasts y'all could be listening to. We're grateful y'all right here tapping in with us.
Yeah, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Truth Talks Crazy Bone, or Crazy Bone
Truth Talks. Yes, indeed. And follow us on IG. This is Truth Talks, because you know the truth is always talking.
Man, you just got to shut up and listen.
You just got to listen. just gotta listen.